Welcome to the supernatural world.
May God love you more. This time, I will present to you my supernatural predictions about crucial events that will be likely to occur in the world over the next 5 years, namely from 2022 to 2027. Before discussing it in detail, I would like to present the following highlights of key global issues of 2022 to 2027. 5 hottest global issues will mostly shape the years 2022 to 2027. Number 1, South China Sea. Number 2, COVID-19 and other new pandemics. Number 3, global warming and other key environmental issues. Number 4, global energy crisis. And number 5, World War III. We start with issue number 1, South China Sea. This most strategic sea on this planet, with incredibly rich natural resources, will increasingly become the scene of the world's hottest conflicts between China, which unilaterally claims ownership of the sea, and the surrounding countries backed up by the West. The US and its allies will further increase their military presence in the South China Sea, with various justifications. However, it is very unlikely that a military conflict will occur in the South China Sea, despite the mutual bluff between China and the US and its allies will be more dreadful. The conflict in the South China Sea will not abate in the period from 2022 to 2027, especially because China is very ambitious and reckless to control this incredibly vital sea. However, at the same time, the Panda country's arbitrary claim to the South China Sea is impossible to obtain reasonable support of the international community. In the period from 2022 to 2027, China will still insist on controlling the South China Sea. This means threatening each other between China, backed by Russia, versus the US and its allies, would still be a tense military drama in the South China Sea. Now, we turn to issue number 2, COVID-19 and other new pandemic. According to my supernatural vision, the COVID-19 pandemic will not be fully under control in 2022. The root of the problem is threefold. Number 1, since the beginning, the history and origin of this virus has not been known with certainty, following the failure of the World Health Organization's experts in researching the zero point of this virus in Wuhan in early 2021. 8 months later, namely in August 2021, the U.S. intelligence, specially commissioned by President Biden, also failed to find the origin of COVID-19 in China. Number 2, epidemiologists so far have not been able to accurately detect the COVID-19 mutation. As a result, they failed to predict the emergence of all new variants of COVID-19. The epidemiologists just realized it at a stage after the new variants had infected and killed many people in the world. And number 3, the production of vaccines is always lagging behind the development of new variants of COVID-19. When vaccine 1 had not yet been completely tested to overcome variant 1, suddenly variant 2, 3, and even their sub-variants, had appeared and attacked and killed many people in the world. This makes the world's countries, including the superpowers, become more and more panicked. So, basically, COVID-19 will not be able to be tamed in 2022. Even new variants and their sub-variants will still appear and attack people in the world in 2022 and the following years. Even those who have been vaccinated 3 times are not immune from the threat of the new COVID-19 variants and sub-variants. In this context, there is good news and bad news. The good news is, according to my supernatural vision, COVID-19 and all its variants and sub-variants will begin to be successfully overcome in the second half of 2025. Then in the first half of 2026, this deadly pandemic will be controlled almost completely. And the bad news is, after COVID-19 has been successfully contained, new superviruses will emerge and become new pandemics in the world that are no less deadly than COVID-19. The new superviruses will infect humans through wildlife and terrestrial ecosystems. This will happen mainly because of the growing unwise interaction between humans and wildlife. This is closely related to the third issue that we will discuss next, namely global warming and other key environmental issues. Now, let's switch on the issue number 3, global warming and other key environmental issues. With regard to this issue, I must be honest that I saw hardly any good news over the next 5 years. All the prophecies about global warming displayed on my vision are a series of greatest natural disasters which have never been experienced by mankind along the history of this planet. And, tragically, humans simply do not have any capacity to deal with the disasters caused by global warming. Global warming greatly accelerates the melting of ice at the Earth's 2 poles. This causes sea levels to rise far beyond the normal threshold. This triggers the occurrence of many deadly disasters for all creatures on Earth. There are 3 most fatal disasters. Number 1, sedentary marine biota such as shellfish, sea cucumbers, and many others as a key source of nutrition and income for billions of coastal communities in the world are becoming extinct due to their failure of getting the sunlight they rely on to survive. Number 2, the disappearance of tidal farming areas as a major source of food and income for billions of coastal farmers around the world. Number 3, seawater intrusion is increasingly widespread to the mainland and polluting the drinking water sources of billions of people in the world. The group hardest hit by all these disasters are the poor, who are increasingly becoming the majority citizens on Earth. The Earth will heat up even more to well above the human tolerance limit for survival. Water will increasingly disappear from the planet. Drought and drinking water crisis will be rampant in all corners of the globe. Species of flora and fauna and their ecosystems, which are the main source of food and income for humans, will increasingly become extinct. This will lead to increasingly extreme and chronic hunger and poverty on Earth, especially in vulnerable areas, such as Africa, South America and Central Asia. In short, the Earth will no longer be able to support the survival of all humans and other creatures that inhabit it. However, even though it is too late, there is still a little bit opportunity of avoiding the apocalypse of global warming. This opportunity is only once in our lifetime, and it must be done right now by all the dwellers of this planet simultaneously. The opportunity is that every human being must live in a carbon-friendly manner, with a minimum of 3 strategic steps they must implement. Number 1, plant as many trees as possible. Number 2, stop using all fossil fuels. Number 3, stop the destruction of forests and other natural ecosystems that store carbon stocks, especially mangrove forests, seagrass beds, and coral reefs. We will now turn to issue number 4, the global energy crisis. The global energy crisis will get worse in the coming years. And this problem will persist in 2027. 3 crucial root causes of problem will still exacerbate the global energy crisis. Number 1, the failure of world countries to manage their respective energy balances in a sustainable manner. Number 2, most countries in the world are still very dependent on fossil fuels, which they should immediately leave in order to avoid the deadly effects of global warming. Number 3, the world's abundant potential of renewable energy has not been optimally utilized on an industrial scale, at a level that allows every country to substitute fossil fuels. And now we come to issue number 5, World War III. Although currently the hottest military hotspot on the planet is in Ukraine, World War III will not start from mainland Europe. According to my supernatural vision, World War III will start from an area in Asia. But that will not yet happen in the period from 2022 to 2027, although military tensions between China and the West, as well as the Cold War between North Korea and the US, will intensify during that time. However, in contrast to World War I and II, the deadliest weapons that will be widely used in World War III are economic sanctions, such as those that cripple Russia today. In this context, the West will be far more dominant than all their rivals anywhere in the world. Alright, now I'm going to share my year-by-year, supernatural vision for the period 2022 to 2027. May God love you more. See you next time.